Good morning, I'm Kristen Folletti and welcome to News Desk on SiliconANGLE TV for Friday, February 22nd, 2013. What's in the works for Hortonworks? Here to discuss the future of big data is Abhishek Mehta, founder of Tresata. Good morning, Abhi.
Good morning, Kristen. How are you?
Doing good. Hortonworks has recently been working on a few new projects aimed at enhancing the security and performance of Hadoop applications. Perhaps the most notable of these projects is the Stinger initiative, which is supposed to increase the speed of their Apache Hive infrastructure by a factor of 100. Abhi, what can you tell us about the Stinger initiative and how will it work?
Yeah, I think it's, if you would recall, it's something we've spoken at SiliconANGLE on your network. I think a couple of weeks ago, it reminds me a lot of Cloudera and Impala. We also know that Cloudera and Hortonworks have markedly different strategies around Hadoop, which is one's the freemium model and one's all 100% open source and will give you support. And I think the Stinger initiative is saying that rather than create new projects, Hive itself natively can be improved and the performance made so much better that you may not need other projects. Although I don't see the two of them that as competing projects. I think they're more co-opetition. Yet to be seen if Hive with 100x improve, which is what Impala promises, and 100x improve as well, and Impala at some point coalesce in the open source realm. But it's they're both solving the same problem, which is performance. How do you improve the performance of native Hadoop and SQL interaction with Hadoop so that a large swath of existing users can use Hadoop? So it's exciting, reminds me a lot of Cloudera and Impala. I think a lot of this is the same thing. I think I don't see them as competing. I see them as co-opting, especially the companies.
So to go in more detail, what does Hortonworks hope to do with such massive speed increases?
I think the hope is, and I'll go a step back, Kristen, which is I had said famously on your network almost 5 or 6 years ago that Hadoop is like a day-old baby. It's kind of cute, and this is 6 years ago. It has a conical head, but it'll be a handsome young man one day. I think Hadoop is now entering the phase of it's in its 20s. You know, it's walking on its own. It's only been 6 years, but it's in its 20s already. It's the time dimension in the new world of innovation and technology changes rapidly. So you look at what's going on and what needs to happen to make Hadoop from that brash young man that can walk is a project and a successful one at it by itself, and what needs to be added to it. And that's what Hortonworks is doing. How do you now go from the 20s to the 30s and 40s to make it a much more real project? And initiatives like Stinger, like Tez, and the other things they announced are going to help Hadoop cross the chasm from being no longer a day-old baby in its 20s to the next phase of maturity, what I'm calling Hadoop's Oscar moment.
How can projects like the Stinger initiative affect the world of big data overall?
I'm sorry, I lost you there for a second. My apologies. I think what happens with Stinger is the fact that the ability of initiatives like Stinger to change the direction, the long-term direction of Hadoop, and make it a lot more mature for a wider audience to consume. So the ability and the capability around the Hadoop ecosystem needs to be added on to by initiatives like Stinger, like Tez, and like Knox, the security initiative, which probably is the most important of all of these initiatives. And how you improve that particular piece in a open source yet community way to make sure that the people using Hadoop in the large enterprises have tool sets they're familiar with will be critical to long-term success. My apologies, I had to jump up to solve a problem here. I'm sorry about that.
Abhi, you mentioned Hortonworks' competitor, Cloudera's Impala. In what ways does Hortonworks' Stinger initiative differ from Impala?
I think it's still to be seen. I think the big difference is this, which is Cloudera's Impala is leveraging Trevny in the back end, which is the next open source project that Doug Cutting has launched, building really a columnar system on top of Hadoop. Whereas Hortonworks is putting its weight behind Hive itself, which natively works on a row-like data storage on HDFS. So I think that's the big difference. How is Hive being made faster the same as Impala with Trevny underneath, and then making SQL faster? What is going to be a better approach is to be seen. I think they're both trying to accomplish the same objective, though.
In addition to the Stinger initiative's improvements, Hortonworks is also working on what they call the Tez Proposal. Abhi, we know both of these projects are intended to increase the speed of the Apache Hive, as we mentioned, but in what ways do the projects differ?
I think it seems as I dig deeper into Tez, it's an Indian word which literally means fast. It's a Sanskrit word, so nice play on words by Hortonworks there. But is the fact that I think Stinger is trying to natively improve Hive, whereas Tez is trying to take the typical MapReduce interface and components that leverage MapReduce and have them run on Yarn, which, as we all know, is natively and fundamentally better than MapReduce in performance. So they're going after performance from two angles. Let's improve Hive and the SQL pieces of Hadoop, and then also add Yarn, bring Yarn to the mix, and rewrite or reintegrate components around Hadoop that are leveraged for access or for running algorithms, because Yarn is a programming interface, and then give it's almost like a double whammy, with Tez and fast Hive, whatever they decide to call it. You should get a double whammy on performance.
Not only is Hortonworks increasing their efficiency, but along with Stinger and Tez, they have also announced a new security measure they're calling the Knox Gateway. Abhi, what will this proposed security layer offer?
I think this is probably the one that I'm the most excited about, which is if Hadoop is no longer a day-old baby, it's now in its 20s, and it now needs to, so the body is there, and the mind needs to catch up, right? Security is a critical aspect in this next phase of Hadoop development, which is going to be how do you now solve the smaller problems to make Hadoop enterprise ready? Which, let me be clear, Hadoop is enterprise ready. The fact that Google's native system, not Hadoop, but native big data system, and the fact that Facebook, Twitter, Yahoo, large enterprises use Hadoop, makes Hadoop enterprise ready. But there are components that need to keep improving. Hadoop will not win Best Performance Award at the Tech Oscars, or the most secure system award at the Tech Oscars, but it needs to get there. And that's what is very interesting about Knox. With this single point of authentication and secure access across the cluster, there are things that need to be built and architected into Hadoop to cross the finer points of enterprise security. Whether it is making sure that if data sits in a cluster and multiple parts of the organization need to access it, and they're not allowed to see different parts of each other's data, which is a big requirement in financial services, as an example, that needs to be integrated natively into Hadoop. It can be done today with some clever shortcuts, but natively into Hadoop. I think Knox is probably very excited about Hortonworks putting its weight behind it. I would hope Cloudera joins the conversation. The two of them really are the most critical pieces here. But I think what also is interesting around Knox, what I would like to see, is the big players, the big tech companies, IBM, EMC, Microsoft, especially Microsoft and Hortonworks partnership, and what they will bring to the table on this topic. Because I think at this point, Hadoop is enterprise ready. It is pretty much in every Fortune 100 enterprise that we have spoken with. And yet there are known things that need to be done to the platform to make it even better, right? For it to go to the next phase of maturity. And I think this Knox platform should offer everybody a platform to come together on and improve security on Hadoop.
Well, Abhi, there's obviously a lot to talk about regarding this topic. I'm sure we'll discuss it again in the future, but unfortunately we're out of time for this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Kristen, are you still there?
And for in-depth coverage on news of the day and the latest breaking analysis, join us daily at News Desk here on SiliconANGLE TV.